circumspectly, and I immediately thought of him as a fictional character. If I were writing him in a book, I'd make him a coach. He had that everyman sort of look to him. He was good-looking, but not intimidatingly so. Still, he was good-looking enough that there was a spark of attraction. I'll confess, I don't go out a lot and don't meet a ton of eligible single men. I meet even fewer who give me that zing of awareness, the sort of feeling that reminded me I was a woman in her prime. I took another glance at the man I was zinging over. His hair was neat. Not too short, but not long by any stretch of the imagination. And it was brown, not dark brown bordering on black, and definitely not punctuated with blonde highlights. No, this man's hair was a straight-up, use a Crayola brown crayon if you were coloring him, sort of brown. He was tan, not in a lies out in the sun sort of way, but rather he had a skin tone that came from ancestors who came from sunnier climates than mine. I made people who were pale look swarthy. Judging from the van, he was not overly tall, nor was he overly short. Average. I tried to ignore my zing and concentrate on my book. This man would make a perfect coach. Put a baseball cap on him and give him a whistle and a glove. At some point, I'd started typing. Couch, Felicity called. Your name's funny. Coach. Coach Devon responded, correcting her pronunciation. Couch Devon. I bet people pick on you. My grandmother calls her couch a divan. So, you're really couch. Coach, he repeated. I like couch better. Couch divan. Yep. Couch. Yeah, I like it. Hi. That one syllable pulled me from my story, and I realized the man who had reminded me I was a woman and was my potential new neighbor, as well as an inspiration for a new character, was standing at my porch railing. Sorry, I got caught up in... I wasn't going to tell him what I'd been caught up in. It's better not to scare new acquaintances with my profession. Some worry they'd become fodder for my fiction. Frankly, some did. I started again. Hi, are you my new neighbor? He nodded. Edward Chesterfield. Ned. To my friends. I couldn't help it. I started to laugh. Really, it was more of a giggle than a full-out laugh. I'd written an article years ago about the evolution of the modern sofa for a historical magazine, which was the only reason I know that a variety of couches are known as Chesterfields. Given what I'd been writing, it was funny. Well, maybe not in a stand-up routine sort of comedy way, but to a woman who spent a lot of her time entertaining herself, it was hysterical. My new neighbor, Ned, looked at me like I was nuts. Sorry? Really? It's just that... Man, I was making a muck of this. I'm pretty sure that telling a man you were amused that there was a type of couch that bore his family name wasn't going to convince him of your sanity. I settled for simply introducing myself. I'm Piper George. Do you need a hand moving stuff in? Miss Pip? A group of kids from last year called from across the street. I was the kindergarten story lady at the school. Some years for first or second grade, too. I went in a few times a week. Sometimes I read my books, and sometimes I simply read some of my favorite children's books, Where the Wild Things Are, the Wild Baby Book. I waved back to the kids. Have a good first day! Pip? My new neighbor asked. That was my writing name and how the kids all knew me, but no adults called me that. It's Piper, I corrected. So do you need any help, Ned? He shook his head. Thanks, but I have some friends coming over to help. Well, good luck and welcome to the neighborhood. If you need anything, I'm around more often than I'm not. Great. Now he was convinced I was nuts and a hermit. So I added an explanation. I work from home. He nodded and asked, Are you going to explain what's so funny about my name? I smiled.